Alright guys, welcome back to the MLG stream covering the Acer TeamStory Cup, Acer against Empire Ensei. We're here in game number 3 between Acer and Empire. Of course, I'm joined by Graham Rogers from Base Trade TV. And, you know, my Will, the guy who's flipping the switches, he thinks Scarlett's going to all-kill. What do you think?
She's got the potential in her, but if there's one player on the team that I would put my faith in, it's going to be Happy, and he's stepping up next, and it's... I don't know. It's Polar Night. It's an interesting map. It's definitely got some nuances that, I mean, with that natural base being so exposed, you put some siege tanks behind it, it can be a pain in the ass to deal with. But, I mean, I think it's hard to call. I want to say no. I want to say no because I believe in Happy, but it's very possible that she could go for an all-kill.
You know, one thing about Polar Night is it actually is one of the better maps to play Mech on. And Happy's not like, for example, Straylock, another European Terran. He loves playing Mech against Zerg, and he loves just like camping until battle cruisers. I've seen Happy do that a couple times as well. There's that famous match against Nurchio like last week that made Reddit where, like, what was it? Like Nurchio's like, I have to use the restroom or something, but you're not gonna attack anyway, so just leave the game going on. It was something he was making fun of the fact that Happy often, Happy is amazing at the late game. Like
he really is. Happy's that guy who kind of established Viking Ghost, I feel, versus Protoss. And, I mean, I really feel, in my heart, Happy's TVP is probably his best, but his TVZ isn't exactly too far behind.
Yeah, he's really known. I mean, the reason why I think his TVP is considered his best is because of his Ghost control. If Happy gets that late-game army in TVP, it takes like 5 Protoss armies to take him down because his Ghost control is so good. And the way that'll carry over to TVZ... it's hard to tell because there isn't anything that's exactly the same skill set as being perfect with EMPs and snipes like it is with Ghosts and TVP. But just his ability to never make like the most important thing in late game in every matchup is basically your army, because there's so much value in it by that point that if it gets caught off guard, you're out of position, you lose your army in a bad engagement, you're done. And, like, you pretty much never see Happy take a bad engagement.
Well, hopefully not. We've seen some bad things come out of players, though, in the Acer TeamStory Cup. I want to reference, if anyone watched yesterday's match with Millennium, 4GG, I think, astounded us all with a really quick loss in the TVZ. So, anything can happen, but, of course, we're going to hedge our bets. And I don't know about you, like, I know some people say it just for the sake of saying it, but I always want these matches to go to Game 9. Because the Acer TeamStory Cup doesn't have any particularly bad players in it, especially even with someone like we've got Empire Ends, who is in last place. All of their players are still phenomenally good players. So no matter how many games we get out of today, I don't think we're going to be disappointed, not in the slightest.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's a really good point. I mean, people can look at Empire Ends and they can be like, okay, they're 0-4, 0-5 right now. But if you look at the players and the way they've lost, it's like, yeah, it's because they're going up like maybe San or Chak or like one of those Korean all-star players comes in and takes out 3 of them in a row, and then one of their players beats them, and then they lose like most of their losses were like 5-3 or 5-2. So, and they were against, you know, they've actually had a rough lineup. They've played pretty much all the pure Korean teams, except for I think Invictus Gaming, which of course is the Chinese team. Those Chinese players are pretty darn good as well.
Yeah, actually, if I could, there's one match, guys, you got to look it up. I believe it was Happy versus Maxed on, I want to say Yansu, but it was one of those games where both players had pretty much like nothing on the field towards the end of the game. You know what I mean? Like those desperate sort of situations. That was probably my most memorably favorite moment in the Acer TeamStory Cup so far. And Happy, the player who was able to produce that magical memory, if you will. It's going to be playing here. We're sorry it's taking so long, by the way, or at least I'm sorry. I don't know. I can't really speak for MLG, of course, but we finally have Scarlett join the lobby, so the downtime shall vanish, and hopefully we get into the game here.
And just as you said it, as soon as you said it, it happened. You got the countdown timer. You got the magic touch. It's like when you're sitting at like a red light and you're like, it's been too long. I think it should change, and then just then it changes.
Dude, that's the best feeling when you're just staring. You're like, wow, did I actually do that, or was that coincidence? Logic tells me otherwise, but I want to believe that I am magic.
Well, you know what's interesting is, I don't know if this is true or not, but someone was telling me that they've actually done studies to like figure out like an average person's patience level, and then try to make sure that people never wait for too much more than that. So like when you're kind of thinking like, oh, this is too long, that's often around the point where it's going to switch. So it works out in StarCraft just as well. Here we are, game number 3 between Acer and Empire Ensa on Polar Night. In the upper left-hand location, already taken down 2 opponents. We have the blue Zerg, Scarlett.
And her opponent, no slouch in the lower central part of the map. It's going to be the red Terran player from Empire, none other than Happy. And quick question to you, on this map, do you ever get really annoyed and tempted to say like lower left or lower right, even though there's no corners to talk about?
I do. Like, I'm tempted to say upper left and lower right because you kind of see...
Yes, me too!
Because there's a base on the other side of them, so it should be, like, there's that extra expansion at the upper right, and they're to the left of that, so what's to the left of the upper right? I think the upper left.
I think to accommodate bad habits and canisters, we should just constantly have the camera tilted slightly so that it is left and right.
Here we go. I think we can do it like this. We'll see. We'll see if that's working.
An awkward way to cast the game, to say the least. But big question, of course, is going to be, does Happy play Mech on this map, or does he stick with Bio? He's definitely one of the players who's well-versed in both. I can completely say him playing either, but as you said, Mech is becoming... not just a little more popular in general, but on this map especially. There's so many great engagement points. And siege tanks, siege tanks. I want to point out especially this natural base location. You can put siege tanks on the low ground. Lings can't even get to you in time by the time you've killed most of the drones. Yeah,
if you think about those, like, often there's that, like, mid-game massive mech push that a mech player will do, trying to hit before the Zerg gets to me, the either Brood Lords or Mass Swarm Hosts or Vipers or something like that. And on this map, for example, if Happy pushed along the right side of the map, like he could easily deny 3 bases with one swoop, right? There's that, potentially there'll be the 4th or the 5th base kind of on the middle right, a little bit upper. And then the top right location can be denied as well, as like you pointed out. From the low ground, you can deny the natural. So it's a great way to kind of execute that push. And on the same token, you know, Mech sometimes has a hard time spreading out and taking bases, but there's that kind of like back base that's pretty easy to take. And the tanks that work to siege your opponent's natural, you can put in your natural to protect your back base. So the way the architecture works out is very good for Mech.
Yeah, it's cool, but I gotta say, like, you almost never see people take that ice-ridden base. Like, the time it takes to knock down those rocks takes forever, but I am still waiting for that one day where someone knocks down the back rocks to the back ramp. Like, if Scarlett were to come around, Happy bunkers up the front of his natural, you know, and takes those rocks out and floods them with Lings from behind to catch him off guard. Like, every time I'm on this map, I have this, like, fantasy where it's like, someone's gonna finally do that. Someone's gonna make it happen.
It's gonna be a Nidus. There's gonna be a Nidus back there. The roaches are going to come out of that Nidus and kill the rocks and swarm up, and their opponents can be like, what?
Oh, Axelab, you're saying such sweet things to my ears right now.
we'll see if it happens. We'll see if it happens.
Well, SCV sadly being chased down in the middle of the map right now. These 2 Lings hounding it. It should be able to get home safe and sound, though. Bunker has already been established for Happy.
Yeah, and it's taking a couple bites, but those are just war wounds. It'll help him get the ladies back when he's back in the base and safe. He can talk about all the sights he's seen, right?
It's like a Dr. Seuss novel, the places you'll go.
Exactly. In fact, look at that. He's not even scared. Going right back to the front of the base, building a depot. Saying,
that is one bad mother.
Yep. That SCV, man. We'll keep track of him throughout the game. Maybe we'll have some other adventures.
This is really cool out of Happy. So he is, at least, if not Blue Flame, going to be going Mech on this map, but he's hiding that second factory, knowing Scarlett's going to come in to scout it, so it's not instantly going to be revealed that there's 2 factories on the map.
And that's a big difference. I mean, one factory is, like, that's what every Terran does, right? You see some Hellions being reactored out, but then if Happy, that second one has been spotted, all of a sudden Scarlett's getting ready to defend 8 Hellions, and there could be 16 showing up, right?
Well, the big question, too, is will this be Blue Flame? Because that makes it even more deadly in the early game. I'm just kind of waiting to see if that tech lab comes down on a factory or not.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, there is sometimes a double reactor build, but if you're doing that, reactors take so long to build, you usually use the barracks to build both the reactors. So we are seeing a tech lab, in fact. But Scarlett has this Overlord on the right side. Is that gonna... Oh, where's she gonna move that?
It's so far away, though. This is not your typical Overlord. Like, usually it's already hanging outside of the base, and it's going to come in so late. And I really... Oh, it is going to be Blue Flame Axe Lab. This makes me so giddy, because Scarlett is not someone who's usually susceptible to Hellions in general, but if you attach Blue Flame, you get that additional 5 damage versus light. Forget Hellbats for a moment. Hellions become incredibly volatile.
Yeah, and it's something where Scarlett... It's great against Scarlett because she's known for not really going roaches as her opening. And so she always gets the bare minimum to defend Hellions, and if you catch her off guard... Oh, a great
They
drone
get
pull,
caught
actually.
off guard. Yeah, there's a hole in the wall, and the 4 Hellions will slip right on through. Drones are being pulled, but that's because of necessity. The Queens are coming back in, and those slow lings do not have metabolic boost yet, so taking a lot of damage here. Scarlett, she will clean this up. She's not going to take crazy losses, but that's a great opening for Happy. 7 workers killed, along with quite a few lings.
That's
8 workers killed. Wow, still not done yet.
No, this one Hellion's going to... No, it's not going to get anything else.
Now, it's really important that Happy does not reveal the Hellion count he has on the field. The second he does, all Scarlett really has to do is wall off, and she shuts down Blue Flame Hellions. But if Happy hides this in the base, if she doesn't scout this, and he's suddenly on the field with 15 Hellions and they all have Blue Flame, she is going to be in for a world of hurt.
Oh, did Overlord see them? I don't think it did. I think they snuck right by without that Overlord seeing them leave the base. That's actually terrible for Scarlett.
Yeah. We don't see a reaction coming at home. No wall off, no spine crawlers.
Yeah, she didn't even have a Zerg at the watchtower, so just now she's seen him.
Oh, but she's seen the Blue Flame now, too. He has revealed it. Will she get there in time to wall off? Evolution Chamber coming down. Happy not going to be able to quite deal with this, but taking out the Queens for now is a nice start to this assault.
Yeah, and in fact, I mean, Hellions don't do great damage to buildings, but if there's nothing there that kill them, they'll eventually do what they can. Of course, 2 Queens trying to put some ranged damage on those Hellions. And Scarlett's actually marking the Queens pretty well to make sure they never get hit both by the same Hellion volley.
This is really unfortunate for Happy, too. I mean, he's probably going to knock down this third base, quite frankly, but the small upside in this is Blue Flame is not like a big all-in investment. You can transition to the Hellbats, you can play Mech off of this, or you can just completely go bio. The Blue Flame is not the biggest investment in the world, but as long as he doesn't lose these Hellions for nothing, which I'm a little worried is going to happen as the Banelings are starting to walk over.
Well, he's going to take out this one Queen with one more volley. Oh, not quite! And the Speedings actually get a pretty good surround, putting a lot of damage on them.
But here come the Banelings, not willing to chase off creep though through the bush. That Queen finally goes down, and looks like Scarlett come back for a round 2. Can she connect to these Hellions? Oh, so scared to take an engagement in those bushes, and rightfully so. Being denied vision like that is a huge deal. And oh, the last Queen goes down. This base, again, not dying exactly fast to the Hellions, but is certainly going to go down at this rate.
Yeah, you know, it's so hard to deal with Hellions with just Speedlings and slow Banelings. I mean, of course, Banelings will do a lot of damage if they connect, but Happy has been so far done a great job of staying away from those Banelings. And of course, using the Hellion's superior speed to navigate around him. Now, there's a Spine Core and a Queen, and that extra damage output is going to scare the Hellions away. They are pretty damaged as well.
They are, and I want to point out too, behind this, the first thing Happy made as a transition, it wasn't Tank, it wasn't Widowmines, but he got a Thor out because he knows upon revealing the Hellions to someone who's probably already going Baneling and Mutalisk, his weakness is lack of anti-air. So he's actually going to be covered in that regard as well.
Yeah, which is a really heads-up move. He also got an Engineering Bay, and he's building turrets. So he's going to be totally protected from Mutalisk.
Yeah, and a Hellbat drop's going to go to the main, so Scarlett is going to have to split her attention between these Hellions. If Happy loses these too early, she won't be distracted, and Hellbat in the main will not nearly be as effective. Ling's connecting to so much of this, but backing off. Here comes the Hellbat drop, though, in the main. Can it do enough damage? Blue Flame Hellions do hit for like 30 and splash damage. It's insane.
Oh, man, there they go. No reaction from Scarlett quite yet. About 5 or 6 drones go down. In fact, maybe up to 8 now. The drones do evacuate.
She actually just lost the larva that popped out, too, so really devastating here. Lots of damage coming down. Mineralized now. Baneling's going to, not quite connect as a hot pickup from Happy comes in, but the drones stack back up.
Oh,
and the
no.
might clean this up, but the damage was done. 19 workers killed.
Oh, no, that was disastrous. I actually just before they died, I was able to click on those Hellbats. One had 14 kills, the other one had 15. Of course, there's a combination of Speedlings and drones. But, man, that was just devastating. Units lost tab is not looking good for Scarlett right now.
Oh, it might not be, but look at the production tab, X-Lab. Do you see what I see?
Oh, Swarm Host, of course. She's recognized her opponent is going Mech, and she's realizing the best way to counter Mech is with free units. In this case, Swarm Hosts are the easiest ones to gain access to.
Well, Happy has got to hold off these Mutalisks for now. The Swarm Hosts are not going to be a thought in his mind just yet, as the air surrounding him is going to be a problem for quite some time. Now, of course, the advantage of playing Mech, you start moving to that sort of Sky Terran late game. That's one great way to crush Swarm Host, but until then, he's going to need tanks on the field to deal with the incoming waves, and he has none. Oh, sorry, he has one.
Yeah, and he's building Thors and Hellbats, so it looks like he's going for this Mech timing of maybe Thors and Hellbats. No, he's going to back away a bit, actually getting a 4th command center. And this is a timing that can work sometimes, but against Swarm Hosts, I don't know if he can really push forward with just 2 siege tanks as the Swarm Host count continues to grow.
Yeah, you really need that clump of like between 5 and 7 to deal with the waves, whether they're staggered or whether they're all coming at once. The reality is locusts can be very dangerous. For those who don't know, for some proper context, each locust has the same damage and rate of fire as a hydralisk, just lacking the range and the HP.
But they're free. So
that too. Yeah, more important, yes.
I mean, hydralisks, at least they do a lot of damage, but when you kill them, they stay dead. Locusts, they'll keep coming, and I think Happy, he's realized it's going to be hard to push against this, so he's sacrificing units to maintain the presence of a threat in his zone and maybe push forward a bit. Meanwhile,
yeah, the main is about to get dropped one more time.
Oh no, Scarlett just with a single queen to defend. These drones have been terrorized all game, and yes, the push is being pushed backwards, but oh man, the damage is insane.
Yeah, I was a little curious with the Banelings. They were going for the Thors. I'm like, Scarlett knows Thors have like 400 health, right? Like, it's probably not the best way to utilize the Banelings, but running with the drones in the main, trying to minimize losses, knowing that Happy can no longer pick up the Mutalisk on top of this. Can he get a couple more kills as they rally back on? No, just barely. If either of those Hellbats had gotten one more volley off, that would have been like an additional 10 kills. Yeah,
there's some very injured drones here, of course. They will regenerate, so unless he leaves right now for another Hellbat drop, it's still going to take the 2 shots to die instead of 1. But Happy is not done pushing. He does have the supply lead. He's done so much economic damage that it's really been hard for Scarlett to max out. And now he has a lot more siege tanks now. He's up to 6, and that may be enough to actually pressure the space.
Well, the Hellbat's certainly going to soak some of the damage here. This initial wave is going to get pushed back, and the Thors basically have to knock down this base before round 2 comes up, because without the Hellbats to buffer for them, this army is actually incredibly weak to the Locusts. He's got to focus down these hatcheries. Actually go for the Locust, or the Swarm Host instead. A not bad choice, but now going to be forced to retreat with the Locust spawning once again.
But you know, Happy may have too much. He's going to lose 1 Thor here, but he took out 4 Swarm Hosts already. And now there's a considerable amount of time before the next Locust wave.
Oh, the Mutalisks clumping up! Dude takes so much damage! And Scarlett loses all but 4 Mutalisks in a couple volleys. The hatchery falls, and Happy suddenly with this push is doing a lot of damage.
He's continuing to reinforce. Now the Locusts are starting to do some damage, but Scarlett is not retreating to Swarm Host. So as Happy pushes forward, they're going to become very vulnerable to damage from the Thors and tanks.
He's not scanning. He's got to detect this. Kills the Locust as they spawn, and that's great, but he's got to deal with the Swarm Host. And there we go, frying alive as they do retreat. Scarlett trying to saturate that new 3rd base, but it's not even completed yet. And Happy is going to keep applying the pressure.
Yeah, at this point, I mean, she's trying to retreat with what units she has, but the base has gone down. Almost all the Swarm Hosts are dying, and Happy just continues pushing forward.
Man, it's actually hilarious watching the Locusts. I mean, they're such dangerous units, but they are actually being dealt with quite nicely. Hellbat's going to push in. These drones they don't even stand a chance. They're just running into the blue flame. They're running into their death, and the tank siege right outside of Scarlett's base. And I don't want to say anything too early, but this is looking really dangerous for Scarlett. It's so many 1 HP, 4 HP on this Thor, 24 kills, 25 kills, finally gets knocked down. But so much damage has been done, and this base is going to fall. The army might get cleaned up, but he should be able to take this base out at the very least.
You know, I mean, Scarlett's able to pick off a unit here and there with the Locust, but Happy with 4 bases just reinforces so fast. His macro is impeccable. That it is at a point where even if eventually she does somehow clean this up, will she have any bases left? And also, behind us, he's adding 3 additional starports, so he could definitely just switch over to air any moment he wants to.
Well, the big decision right now is, does he stay dedicated to this? Does he pull the tanks back, or does he sacrifice them all to do a little more damage? Because the damage he's going to be capable of is actually kind of limited right now. There's not a lot more for him to pick off other than going to that newly found 3rd base, which is, I guess, now technically her natural, because she has no natural base.
Oh, man, so much damage you can put out. But now comes the Vipers. They're helping out a bit. Her new natural, there's 1 Hellbat trying to do what it can over there. But
it's actually doing quite a bit.
Yeah. It actually definitely was. There's only like 3 drones mining there right now. There's so much damage we put out.
With the level 2 tank upgrades and level 3 nearing completion, these Locust waves are not even barely touching these tanks. And of course, the Vikings throwing out the Vipers. As long as there's no blinding clouds, these tanks are fine. But of course, that is their greatest weakness, the blinding cloud.
You know, one of the biggest problems Scarlett has had is that she's been unable to keep her Swarm Hosts alive, so as she's been fighting backwards, instead of accumulating enough Swarm Hosts where they hit that critical mass and kind of just send so many Locusts you overrun the Terran, she only has 12 Swarm Hosts. She's lost so many to just Thors and tanks.
Do you see this 4 HP Thor that has 35 kills on it?
It's the 1 veteran, the 1 Thor that lived.
Good game.
Wow. Happy taking it down with Mech.
I told you if there was one person who's going to do it, it would be Happy.
You did, and he knew exactly how to approach Scarlett as well. He had the perfect approach. He caught her off guard with the blue flame hellions, and she actually did a reasonable job defending. But if you don't scout it in time, like ideally you get like 4 to 5 roaches to really help push that out, or you just make like 8 queens or something. But she just took so much damage in queen losses, delaying the third base, and then that mech push was just so well executed by Happy as well. Just a little bit too much for her to stop. Of course, now it's 2-1. So we're gonna see who is Acer gonna put in game number 4 against Happy. Will it be Innovation? Will it be MMA? Will it be Bly? We'll have to wait and see. Game 4 coming up next.